four of them. We have four of the processes. Now let's take them one by one. We have the human resource. When you see me saying HR, it means human resource. So we have human resource planning. We have human resource planning. Okay, that is the first process. You plan. The planning may mean, but not limited to recruitment, interview, staffing, orientation, training and development, coaching, and making sure, employees understands how things are done within the organization. But I'm still going to go deeper, go more, and explain more of this planning. Like I told you in ICSMP, we are not just interested in you cramming the definition. We are interested on how you will apply this concept when you get to that organization you are going into. And that is why you can never get it lesser with ICSMP. All right, now planning. Now, okay, let me list the whole of the four for you before I now pick it one after the other. Apart from human resource planning, we have the second one here, employee remuneration and benefit administration. Employee remuneration and benefit administration. Then we have the third one. We have the performance management. We have the performance management. And we have the fourth one. We have the employee relations. Okay, we have the employee relations. So let's take it one after the other again. Human resource processes, series of interrelated events to achieve results in human resource. Okay, now we have human resource planning, employee remuneration and benefit administration. This is administration. The third one, we have performance management. And the fourth one, we have employee relations. So let's take it one after the other, like I've said. So the first one we will be looking into is, human resource planning. Human resource planning. Like we told you, you are not going to miss a classroom experience. And if you watch this video very well and you follow it, diligently, you discover that what is happening in class is still the same thing that is happening here. So, and by so doing, you can have the lecture at the comfort of your home and everything to make it so interesting. Yes, human resource planning. When you are planning, while I was talking about planning the other time, I was talking about recruitment, selection, interview, and do a lot of that. But it does not just happen. How do you plan for human resource? We have four major concepts under human resource planning. Now, so you follow me as we dive into the beauty of what this planning is all about. So the first of them is this: present human resource, supply. Present HR supply. Then number two, we have the future HR demand. Then number three, we have the demand forecast. Okay. Then number four, we have the sourcing strategy and implementation. Okay. Let's take it one after the other again. Under human resource planning, that is, you want to plan for recruitment. You want to plan for selection. You want to plan the interview. You want to plan the staffing. You don't just achieve it. There are principles to it. There are processes to it. There are professional pathways to it. And this is a pathway. Present HR supply, future HR demand, demand forecast, sourcing strategies, and implementation. So we are still going to take them one after the other again. Now let's start with present HR supply. Before you go into recruitment as a human resource professional, you must first of all understand your present HR supply. Don't forget, an organization may be multi-departmental. And how do I mean? It means there could be various departments in an organization. And when you are going to, before you go into recruitment, you must understand the, specialization, the skill you can produce in your organization. What do I mean? Take for example, don't worry, I will still write them again when I'm about to explain it. Let's have enough room for explaining our HR supply. Now, take for example, in an organization, let's say you want to recruit for the following positions. You want to recruit for the position of safety officer. You are recruiting for the position of safety officer. You are recruiting for the position of, an accountant, a computer engineer. You are also recruiting for the position of a marketer, of the project officer. Let's say these are your areas of interest. This is the recruitment. These are the vacant positions within that organization. Now, what do you do and how do you go about it as with respect to present HR supply? Now, you must understand that don't we have those who can do this within the organization? Now, you have to re-examine the CV, the skill, the present CV of those who are working within the organization. And that is what we call internal recruitment. Internal recruitment. Internal recruitment. I believe you can spell recruitment. Internal recruitment. All right. Now, in an organization, let's say you have someone who is working, as within the organization, is working in another department. But looking through the CV now of the person, you now discovered that the person has safety certification. Before you go outside to search for someone, for a fresh person, for a new person, you should be sure if you do not have that skill, that competency within the organization, the person may not be working in that department. The person may even be a marketer, maybe because that was the available position when he got into the organization. But now this person has gone further to acquire other skill, or this person even have his skill then, but because that was the specialization you employed him or her, with, then he or she has no choice then than to accept the job. But the person has safety certification. Before you go outside, you should be sure that, okay, this person has safety, and this person has safety professional certification, and the person can work as a safety officer. So the same thing with an accountant, the same thing with a computer engineer, the same thing with a marketer, the same thing with a project officer. Now, the present HR supply now means that, okay, if initially what you are looking for is 20 safety officer, you want to recruit 20 safety officer before, but now you've now discovered that when you now carried out your present HR supply, you now discover that there are about 8 persons within the organization with safety certification. Do you understand? So instead of you looking for 20 outside, it means you no longer need 20 outside, because your present HR supply now shows you that, come on, Mr. HR, you have 8 person who can still fit in that position within the organization without going out. And it has advantages. This process has advantages. You don't spend, you spend lesser on recruitment. That's number one. Number two, you spend lesser on payment. Because if the person is working as a marketer and the person now wants to carry out the function of a safety officer, if you are paying the marketer 100,000, and he wants to add safety, the duty of a safety officer to his work, it means you don't need to pay the person 100,000 again. You may just add like 50,000 to the person's salary. The person will be earning like 150,000. Okay, the person will be earning like 150, and you have and if you are bringing in a new person, the new person will be paying the new person like 150. But now you've only paid 50,000 naira. What have you done? You've reduced cost. You've saved time. And apart from the fact that you've saved time, you've also reduced cost on recruitment. Do you understand? So that is that about the present HR supply. That is what it does. The same thing with the accountant. The same thing. You use this example for the rest. For the rest of them. So that is how to carry out present HR supply, by understanding the numbers of expertise, the numbers of skills, the numbers of of resources that are available with respect to workforce in an organization before you start buying. We may also call this process, we may also call it make or buy. This present HR supply, we may also call it make or buy analysis. Make or buy. That is, can you make it within the organization? Do you have it within the organization? Or will you need to buy it from outside? Okay, so that is what the present HR supply is talking about. Now, let's move further to the second one under human resource planning. And that is the future HR demand. Now, this is another concept you put in mind when planning for human resource. And what does this concept mean? This concept is looking into the future, unforeseen, or even, premeditated or assumed future need of an organization. And while you are planning your recruitment, you also put this in mind. You have it in mind that, okay, what happens in the future? That, okay, what could be the future need of the organization? Take, for example, in an organization is about to have a new branch. Then there will be an exodus of people from the head office to the new branch office. So because of that, you should have it in mind that while carrying out recruitment, there will be a future need of the organization. So you add that future plan to your recruitment. Maybe in an organization, you have about 30 persons, 30 staffs who are, getting to retirement age. And they are all retiring next year. They are not retiring now, but they are retiring next year. It is part of the future need of the organization. So you put it in plan too. You have it in plan that, okay, 30 persons are leaving the organization. So as a matter of fact, we should plan for their recruitment. Maybe you have about 5 female, staffs who are pregnant. Of course, you know that they put to bed and they are expected to proceed on maternity leave. So you know that, of course, you should plan for how to fill in the spaces they've left. Do you understand? That is how you plan for the future. So, or peradventure, about 14 staffs are leaving for further studies, are leaving for future studies. Then, of course, you know how to plan for that. So, recruitment and human resource planning is not just looking at the immediate need of the organization. It is also looking at the future need. What will the organization need in future with respect to human resources? So then we now have what we call the third one is the demand forecast. As I earlier positioned, demand forecast. This demand forecast is the nexus, is the equilibrium between present HR supply and future HR demand. Present HR supply and future HR demand. So the demand forecast, at the end of the day, you now arrive at a number. After you must have, understood what you'll be needing, what you have presently. Okay, what you have presently. Let's say, for example, let me give you the mathematics. there is a little mathematics. There's a little mathematics. Now let me give you the little mathematics now. Let's say, for example, initially you came about 30 vacancies. But at the end of this 30 vacancy, you discover that, okay, from these 30 vacancies, from this 30, I would like 30 deficiency, let me call it deficiency, 30 human resource deficiency. Okay, you understand? It means there are 30 positions to be filled. You now discover that, okay, from this 30, the organization can make 12. It means you are not looking for the whole of 30 again. 30 minus 12 gives you what? 30 minus 12 gives you 18. It means you are left with 18. Now, when you now carry future HR demand on this 18, you now discover that you will be needing 2 for future purpose. You now add the 2 to this 18. Now 18 plus 2. So it means your demand forecast now is what? Is 20 at the end of the day. Let me come again if you don't understand what I've said. Now, after your preliminary evaluation, you discover that there are 30 deficiencies. Now, you now carried your present HR supply analysis on this 30. You now discover that there are 12 within the organization. You have 12 personnel within the organization who can do the work instead of you going out. You know you will not be needing 30 again. Of course, you will remove the 12 from the 30 since you can make the 12 within the organization. So when you subtract the 12 from 30, it gives you 18. Okay, now you now carry future HR demand on this 18. So when you carry future HR demand, now the future HR demand will now tell you that, okay, oh, now you are looking for 18, but in the future, you don't plan for that future during the efficiency. No. It is when you start your planning, you start that. Now, 2, we have 2 persons who are getting married, or 2 persons who are retiring, or 2 persons who, who are to be laid off, or who are to be transferred. You add that to future plan, you add it with the 18. So 18 plus 2, it gives you 20. So 18 plus 2 is 20. So this 20 now, this 20 we are talking about now is what you will now be planning for. That's now your demand forecast. That was why I said that demand forecast is a nexus between present HR supply and future HR demand. Now, the last but not the least, which we will be talking about under this area, is the sourcing strategy. We have the sourcing strategy, or let's pluralize it. Let's call it strategies, because more than one, and implementation. Sourcing strategies and implementation. Now that you now have a number, don't forget, at the end of our demand forecast, we now have a number we need to recruit. Like the 20 we said the other time, at the end of demand forecast. Now, how do you now get those 20 in? That is what sourcing strategy is talking about. What are the processes? Where are they supposed to fill? What are the core competencies required of them? What are the skills? What are the academic background? What are the character? What are the attitude? Like I used to say, most of the time, what gives you the job is not even your academic qualification. What gives you the job is your character towards the job. Do you understand? What you know, your skill, not your 2-1, not your first class most of the time. So what strategy, what do we need? And don't forget, this strategy, this sourcing strategy must align with the vision of the organization. You should look for those who can drive the vision of the organization, those who can key into the vision of the organization, those who can key into the mission statement of the organization, those who will help in harnessing, in building on the status quo of the organization. So you put all these things into consideration while as strategies when you are doing while carrying out your sourcing. You don't just bring in anybody. You evaluate them, you analyze them, and make sure that they will key effectively into, the organizational procedures and the mission statement of the organization and what the organization aim at achieving at the end of the day. So at the end of this process, I've been able to tell you what human resource planning is all about, It cuts across present HR supply, future HR demand, demand forecast, sourcing strategies, and implementation. But don't forget, we've just been talking about planning since. We've not even gone into the second aspect. Don't forget, the broad topic we're examining is human resource management processes. And it was under these processes we talked about human resource planning. And it was under this human resource planning we talked about present HR supply, future HR demand, demand forecast, sourcing strategies, and implementation. So let's look into the second process in human resource processes. Now, the second process is employee remuneration and benefit administration. Now, we believe that at the end of planning, don't forget, the first one was planning. This is number 2. The first one was planning. So we believe that at the end of planning, you now have a workable force. You now have employees. You now have staffs. What do you now do to them? That is where remuneration and benefit administration comes into play. Although when we get to our HRM 645, we talk more about compensation, reward, and benefit. But before then, let's have a peripheral understanding of what remuneration and benefit administration is all about. Now, you don't expect someone to work for you with an hungry stomach. You don't expect someone who is not psychologically fit to work for you. To even if they are working for you, not work well. You don't expect someone who is not happy to work for you. You don't expect someone whose salary has not been paid for 4 months, 5 months. You don't expect the person to put in their best. It's not possible. You can't achieve results. So as human resource professional, you must make sure that your employees are remunerated well. And when we're talking of remuneration, we are talking of money. Don't let's deceive ourselves. Everyone loves money. Everyone likes money. Irrespective of your background, your tribe, your spiritual, whatsoever, who you are, everybody needs money to survive. You drive the organization with money. And at the end of the day, people, because it is measurable. Money is measurable. Money is needed to transact. People need it. So when you are not paying them, forget. Some said some want promotion, some want to be respected, some want this, but you can't joke with money. Money is let me call it. Permit me to use the word supernatural motivator. It is very important. So when you remunerate your employees very well, and other benefits cannot come in. Like maybe you are giving them loan, maybe you are giving them, some medical intervention or some training. All those things, they can now come in, like things that motivate them, that incentivize them, and good working condition, good working environment, peaceful and wonderful coexistence. All these are part of remuneration and benefits. And you make sure, and why are you doing this? You are doing this to get the best out of your employee. Like the saying goes, an hungry man is an angry man. When the man is hungry, you don't expect the person to work well. So this is under remuneration. And the third one is performance management. Performance management. Performance management. Now, there's a difference here between performance management and performance appraiser. Get it very well. Performance management and performance appraiser, they are two different things. Now, when we are talking about this in this lecture, I will explain what it means to you. Performance management and performance appraiser. Okay, but many people do confuse these two words together. But the one we're interested in here is performance. Now, after you've run all this remuneration and everything, what you are doing is you are managing the performance of your employee. You are giving them all what they need to perform. One needs an official car for movement, you are providing it. Another needs, some financial intervention, you are providing it. Another needs training and seminars and some academic additions, you are providing it. That is performance management. That is, you are providing all needed enhancements for their performance towards productivity. That is performance management. Now, performance appraisal, get the difference now. You may be asked in an interview. Performance appraisal is now, okay, I've given you all I should give you. Now, what are you doing? That's appraisal. You now want to check. So, as an employee, as an employer, you don't just manage performance. You also see what your employees are doing. Are they meeting expectation? Are they doing what is expected of them? Are they meeting targets? Are they productive? What is the level of individual productivity? As the lecture continues, you will see how we measure productivity, how productivity is being measured in an organization. But for this concept, for now, we are looking into performance management and performance appraisal. You manage their performance, you give them all they need to perform, you give them a good enabling environment, you make sure that you have all processes to monitor their growth and to make sure they are growing. And appraisal is, what are you doing? That is appraisal. What have you done? If I'm investing 10,000 naira on you, if I'm investing 20,000 naira on you, as I am investing 50,000 naira on you, then what is the output? That is performance appraisal. And the last but not the least we'll be talking about for now is employee relationship. Now, under this employee relationship, under this employee relationship, we have it. Employee relationship. Under this employee relationship, we group it as employer-employee relationship. We have employee-employee relationship. And we have employee-customers relationship. These are the three methods of relationship, the three categories of relationships in an organization: the employer to employee, the management, and the employee. This relationship is very important. It determines how far the organization will go. It determines how far productivity will go. It determines the quality of productivity, how cordial, how smooth, how professional. I'm looking for a very beautiful coordination to show you that this relationship is very important. It must be smooth. If an employee do not have a good work relationship with the employee, and the employer sees the employee as a tool, as a slave, as someone you can just beat around and push around and do around, even animals, you can't treat animals anyhow and they won't react. Talk less of human beings who are your employee. So it's very important. This relationship is very important, and that was part of what we discussed during remuneration and benefit administration. You must make sure they are okay. You must make sure you give them listening ears. You must make sure you know what they are passing through part time and part time. You must make sure that everything about them concerns you, because at the end of the day, they determine what happens in the organization. They determine the output of the organization, because they are the ones doing the work. Do you understand? That's employer-employee. Now, the second aspect is the employee-employee. That is the relationship between employee A and employee B. There must be good working relationship, because if A is answerable to B in a department and there are no cordial relationship within them, then you should be sure there will be deficit in productivity and there will be problems. So employee relationship is also very important. Then the third one is the employee customers relationship. This is mostly found at the retail or the wholesale stage of an organization. How you treat your customers, how you attend to customers, and because you are the image maker of that organization, anything you do to the customers, the customer does not know your name, but the customer knows the name of the organization, and all the customer will say, all the customer will emphasize is so organization did this to me. So that is why the employee must make sure that there is a cordial relationship between the employee and the customers. That is to enhance effectiveness. Don't forget, the customers are bringing in money to the organization. And if they are not well treated at the end of the day, you should be sure that they may not come back. And as they are not coming back, it is having a resultant effect back to the organization. So today we've talked about so many concepts as far as human resource management is concerned. We've talked about the definition of human resource. We've talked about the evolution of human resource management. We've talked about, the processes of human resource management. We talked about human resource planning. We talked about the processes under human resource planning, and we talked about the other processes under human resource, which called these employee remuneration and benefit administration, performance management, and here we are talking about employee relationship. And we broke it down into three: employer-employee relationship, employee-employee relationship, and employee-customers relationship. Finally, on class one today, this is the last concept we'll be talking about in the next 3, 4, 5 minutes. I will just round it up for you so that you can read more about it in your study manual. The study manual is provided for you so you can read through it and understand what it is. So I will be talking briefly, very briefly, about HRM 625. HRM 625, and this HRM 625 is talking about employee training and development. Employee training and development. Now, it is not enough that you recruit into an organization. An employee coming to an organization may not understand the goals and the visions of that organization. And that is why you must do everything to make sure you familiarize employee with the success mathematics of the organization. What are the success mathematics? I mean, how the organization intends to work out its success. And now that the employee is part of it, how do you actualize this? You actualize this through training, and this training is aimed at development. Very simple. Training is aimed at what? At development. So how do you achieve that? How do you achieve training and development? We have 3 methods. I will be talking to you here. We have the formal education. 2, we have assessment. 3, we have coaching. We have coaching. We have formal education, we have assessment, and we have coaching. I call it FAC. This formal education is talking about training generally, academic training, professional training, and other training that are needed by an employee to get familiarized with the technical know-how and the technicalities involved in an organization. And after this formal education, you look into assessment. The assessment, an example of the assessment I was talking about the other time was when I was, talking about performance management and appraisal the other time. Assessment, you look into what they are doing. You should be sure they are doing the right thing. You should be sure they are productive. Okay? And when we are talking about coaching is very important. Don't forget, the success of a team is solely lies on the coach. If a team loses, they say the coach is bad, they may fire the coach of the team. And they may not even bother much about the players. They say the coach is bad. Okay? So coaching is very important. And this coaching is done by experts within the organization. You attach the newbies to them, For example, to a particular expert who has spent like 20, 25, 15, 20 years in an organization, you attach like 3 mentees to him or her who will, he coaches them, he put them through on how the organization is run. He gives them assignment, he assesses the assignment, and he monitors them, he guides them through. All these are to make sure that they are developing. So as tasks are mounting on task, their experiences also increases when they have challenges, they can go to their coach. This is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm passing through. The coach, the guys, and direct them through experience. These are some of the solutions you can, you could pass through. These are some of the things you can do. And before you know what is happening, if formal education is there, if assessment is there, and if coaching, the right coaching is made available, over time, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you discover that a new employee will also be a guru, and before you know what is happening, is also coaching the new persons too who are coming in. Don't forget, coaching may also come through delegation and a whole lot of developmental strides that will make sure that, and developmental processes that will make sure that the employee does well and gives in his or her best to take the organization to the next level. So by the special grace of God, our next class will be meeting, we'll be going to the second class. I want to believe you enjoyed this first class, and that is what we are committed to in ICSMP, to make sure that we don't just train you abstractly, but we make you understand what each course concept is all about. Yes, once again, my name is Dr. Adetayo Irioluwa. It is Dr. Adetayo Irioluwa, and I work with this college as a principal consultant, and I also work as a tutor for the college. See you next class. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you.